Hello and welcome to Potterwatch from Page to Screen, episode 23. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Lucy.
Last time we had our first Defence Against the Dark Arts lesson and we ate some slugs.
Today we'll be going to detention with Harry and Ron. And trampling?
Oh,
Traipsing?
trampling, they are all the same thing, no?
All the same. Yes. Leaving mud all over the castle in some...
Distributing.
Some way. Distributing. Interesting. But first, we have to delve into the sorting hat for our questions. Today, Elizabeth will have the Harry Potter question and mine will be totally random.
Woohoo!
So, I'll start off then. My question is, what is something that you found out or realised you, kind of misunderstood embarrassingly late in life?
I have one that my friend did.
Okay. Throw them under the bus.
I probably have a number of these, but and I'm not going to name names because that's just mean. My friend in sixth form, so she was at least 16 or 17. Sorry, it's really bad. She thought that, imagine the shape of England, Wales and Scotland.
Yeah.
And imagine it like being sectioned off into three sections, like top and then a line and the middle and then a line and then the bottom, like three straight sections.
Okay.
She thought it was like England at the top, Wales in the middle and Scotland at the bottom because it's England, Wales and Scotland.
Wow.
Like it's always said England, Wales and Scotland. And like with straight lines. I know. And we were like, have you never looked at a map? She was like, wow. I don't know, I guess not. And it just blew her mind. She was genuinely mind blown that it was like, no, Scotland's up here and England's in the middle and Wales is off to the left.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really bad at knowing where places are.
Same.
In the UK, but I mean, I know where the countries are in the UK.
Yeah.
Wow.
What, do you have an answer? I'm assuming you have an answer, seeing as you asked the question.
Yeah, I'm sure there are better ones, but I did only recently find out that the Trojan horse didn't actually happen.
What?
You know that? The thing about I'm not even exactly sure of all the
where
stuff
the
around
people
it, but
go into the horse.
Yeah, where they give a gift to these people they're at war with of a big wooden horse.
Yes.
And then they have people hiding inside the horse.
Yeah. Waiting
to jump out once they're inside, like the
castle.
It's
like, oh, this is a peace offering. Haha, lol.
Yeah. I swear I learned about that in history, and I always thought it really happened, but it's not. It's just like a legend.
Oh, see. Now, okay, you're teaching me something because I thought it was true as well. I thought that was a real thing. Wow. My mum, if she listens to this, is going to be facepalming real hard right now because she is really into history. Oh.
Yeah, it was like one of my favourite, maybe not favourite, but I always thought it was such a funny, like cool historical fact. And then a few days ago, maybe not even a few days, like a while ago, it didn't happen.
Yeah. Oh, that's weird. Like everyone always says, oh, the Trojan horse story. But I was like, oh, it's a cool history story.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody never said it was true, but nobody never ever said it wasn't true.
Yeah.
Weird. Huh.
Yep.
Okay. Wow, we'll consider me mine. But okay, I'll say that one as well then, because I'm 25.
And you just found out.
And I just found out. What's something, I mean, every day. Roman teaches me things all the time. Oh, I, like, just a few years ago, maybe when I was like 22, 23, just first married, I only just, like, got comfortable, really, really comfortable with there, and there. Like, really confident with it. And, like, I'm still working on where, and where. Well, where, and... I know we're, because that's got an apostrophe in it.
Right.
Where and where, I still have no clue which one is which.
You know what I struggle with? Weather, like whether or not, and weather, like the sky. I know how weather is spelt like raining,
Yeah.
but weather, I always just throw in some random, weather as in whether or not to do something. I always
Right.
just kind of throw in some random
Oh,
vowels.
I've never had a problem with that one. It's interesting,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like the English language is apparently like one of the hardest ones to learn because of crap like
It's
that.
just random. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, another one that I just remembered is the size of tuna fish.
Oh
I
yeah,
always
they're
thought
like
tuna fish
huge.
were like the size of sardines, like
Like,
maybe
oh really, really
maximum
small.
like 10 centimeters
Oh
big.
wow.
They're huge. They're like a couple meters long. I just always thought. Also, I thought moles were massive. I thought moles were like the size of badgers.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. They're
They're
quite small.
tiny. They're very
Yeah.
small.
I thought molehills were like the diameter of a mole.
Oh, I can see. Right, I
Yeah,
can see
yeah.
where
Until
yeah.
again, embarrassingly recently, maybe a couple of
Well,
years
but
ago.
yeah, I can see why you would come to that conclusion from looking at a molehill. Yeah. I'm still trying to think of. I mean, I'm just thinking of ones that I still don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I still don't know most of my times tables. I've just never ever gotten
A
comfortable with
lot of
them.
mine I still have to add by number. So if I'm
Right.
doing like I don't know, 8 times table, I can't just rattle them off. I have to be like 2 times 8 is 16 plus another 8 is
Yeah.
24 plus it, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do, but it takes a
Yeah.
long time. Embarrassingly long. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'll have to have a think about that as well. I see this, it gives me like a massive ego boost when you or Roman ask me what a word means. And it's like Lucy is in school right now, so she is probably at like the top of her game, like
Well, technically I'm not
brain
anymore.
wise. Pardon?
Technically I'm not anymore. It's all
Well,
downhill from here,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And like
Studying
Roman is
English
like,
language as well.
yeah, exactly. So it's really nice when like in Harry Potter we've had it a couple of times, haven't we, where you ask me a word, and it's like, oh, I'm teaching something to someone who I fully acknowledge and I'm happy to acknowledge knows way more than me. It's really nice. It's the same with Roman because obviously he's from a different country. So, and it doesn't happen very often, granted. He's amazing at English and he often at work corrects other native English speakers' work. It's
Wow.
embarrassing for them. Um, but sometimes he has to ask me like, how is this pronounced or what does this mean? Not very often at all, but yeah. And it's like, haha, yes, I can provide you with that knowledge. Yeah. Oh yeah, I have loads. I have very, very random knowledge of not very useful things. Like I could recite to you most lyrics from most songs really easily, but then I have no idea. Well, going back to times zero, I have no idea what 6 times 7 is. Nope, not a clue. Yeah. Wow. So the Trojan horse did not happen.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? It could have happened sometime, but
Or
that
maybe something
story
similar
was,
happened.
yeah, but that story is legend.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that I've had my mind thoroughly blown, I'll ask you my Harry Potter question.
All right.
What's your favorite Potter textbook? So like
Ooh,
advanced potion making or
does
Hogwarts
it
history?
have to be one that you can read?
No, just like
Just
mentioned in the
the idea
books.
of it.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Yeah, mine is definitely Hogwarts a history, just because of
Yeah,
how much it's mentioned and how much
yeah,
I want to read it.
yeah, yeah. No, that's the first one that kind of came to mind.
Yeah. But if it's one that you can read currently, it would be Quidditch Through the Ages.
Although,
I mean,
no, that's what I
is that just one
first
of
thought.
two?
Yeah,
I think there's only two out, isn't there?
yeah,
That
it's
and
just
Fantastic
Quidditch Through
Beasts.
the Ages, and I mean, although Quidditch Through the Ages, it's not technically. I wouldn't say that's a Hogwarts textbook, is
I
it?
guess so. Yeah,
But
that's true.
that is my favourite. That's just the most fun.
Yeah.
To read.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess History of Magic or
History of Magic. Mm-hmm.
I do quite enjoy. I mean, it's another. I guess probably because it's one that you can actually read. I do quite enjoy Fantastic Beasts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like imagining the actual Fantastic Beasts book having like moving images.
Yeah,
that would be really cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Does
yeah,
it
I don't know.
Does it hurt images in books when you close the book?
No, I don't think so.
What happens to their view? Is all they see white?
Yeah,
just massive
or
words.
darkness.
Oh yeah, or darkness. That's
because
true.
It's, you know.
Yeah.
But I suppose they still have their little world that they're in. Yeah. There's just a big black square, I suppose.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wonder if because the illustrations aren't actually in a frame or anything, they would be able to kind of roam the pages and like go walk around all the words and
and when you're reading them, it's
beasts.
like, can you move, please?
Yeah,
'cause I'm trying to read.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'd probably go Hogwarts of History. I feel like there's a lot in there that I would actually be interested to know.
Yes.
I feel like Hogwarts of History is almost more like Harry Potter trivia.
Yes.
Than any of the others.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I'd probably go Hogwarts of History.
Cool. So, as we said last episode, we're actually switching it up from now on. And we'll have Lucy going first with detention. There we go.
You know, I was really confused marking up my book because I was like, oh, but this is before, like there were little bits highlighted and underlined after where I was doing it. And I was like, oh, like I have what's going on? Like I haven't gone ahead. Oh, this is really strange. And I realised it's because I had gone through a while ago and done the second half.
Oh. And
so then I was really confused as to why. Like I was backtracking, but then I realised what had happened. Anyway, yes. So, as Elizabeth said, we're going to be looking at Harry and Ron's detentions in Chamber of Secrets. I'll just read what the detentions consist of for the two boys. It says, "What are we doing, Professor?" said Ron, nervously suppressing a burp. "You will be polishing the silver in the trophy room with Mr. Filch," said Professor McGonagall. "And no magic, Weasley. Elbow grease." Ron gulped. Argus Filch, the caretaker, was loathed by every student in the school. "And you, Potter, will be helping Professor Lockhart answer his fan mail," said Professor McGonagall. "Oh no, can't I go and do the trophy room too?" said Harry desperately. "Certainly not," said Professor McGonagall, raising her eyebrows. "Professor Lockhart requested you particularly." I find it very funny that Lockhart is specifically requesting Harry Potter to do detention with him.
Yeah.
Because he's wanting to hang out.
Like, oh, celeb bros. Just celeb things.
Also, the fact that he would rather scrub trophies with the most hated person in Hogwarts at this time.
Yes.
Rather than just sit and help a celebrity with their fan mail.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And also, McGonagall obviously knows that she's getting them both where it hurts.
Yes. Yeah, I wonder if like McGonagall knows how much Harry dislikes Gilderoy.
Well, I think she also hates him, and so it's kind of like a
shared.
Yeah, exactly.
You babysit Gilderoy today, Harry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We only follow Harry to detention in both the book and the film, because obviously it's from his perspective, mostly. I will say, because there are some bits in the later books where it jumps around. But, we only see Harry's detention. And as we said, they both think they've got the worst deal. Ron wouldn't mind being with Lockhart, and Harry has been cleaning for the Dursleys for forever, so he doesn't really mind doing a little bit more and doing the polishing.
Yeah.
In the book, it's kind of a montage. I don't know if that's really the... I don't know if there's another word for montages in books.
Yeah.
I guess it's still a montage. Yeah, it's just a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Montage. It did feel weird writing montage in this.
I think maybe anyway. It's more of a kind of brief
montage
overview, which happens a lot in the first couple books and kind of in the third one as well.
Well,
Fourth
I
onwards,
mean, you
she
don't
usually
want to
takes the
like
time
go
a lot
into
more.
too much detail because it's a detention at the end of the day. Like, and Harry wrote this address and this address. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the first few books, she does a good job of kind of briefly describing something in a way that still doesn't feel rushed.
Yes. Yeah. And she'll do like bits and pieces like, oh, it's nailed by, and then Lockhart said this. Oh, and then...
Yeah. So I'll just read a little bit of said montage. The minutes snailed by. Harry let Lockhart's voice wash over him, occasionally saying, and right, and yeah. Now and then he caught a phrase like, fame is a fickle friend, Harry, or celebrity is as celebrity does. Remember that. The candles burned lower and lower, making the light dance over the many moving faces of Lockhart watching him. Harry moved his aching hand.
The cats in Umbridge's office.
Yeah. Harry moved his aching hand over what felt like the 1,000th envelope, writing out Veronica Smethly's address.
I guess.
It must be nearly time to leave, Harry thought miserably. Please let it be nearly time.
Come on, Harry, you're just writing addresses.
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty great detention. Although I suppose if he has been there for a while. And also, we have to remember, he is using a quill.
Yes, that must be super annoying.
Yeah, I can't believe they use quills. Anyway.
Yeah. I like how they like add the two things that Lockhart says, like the fame's a fickle friend and celebrity is a celebrity is, into his like little speech in the film.
Yeah.
Both quite nicely in the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see sometimes videos online of the audiobook playing, or not the audio, the film audio playing, and then someone like following along in the book, and it's like word to word, particularly the first two.
Yeah.
As we say a few times, it's a lot of the dialogue at least is just directly taken. And like you said, it's because in the book they're just isolated phrases. The way they kind of make it into a bit more of a monologue is quite amusing in the film, I think.
Yeah, same.
So then Lockhart says, "Great Scott, look at the time. We've been here nearly 4 hours," which is in the film. And as we say, it's another thing that is straight from the book. And then later in the detention, Harry starts to hear the voices. It says, and then he heard something quite apart from the spitting of the dying candles and Lockhart's prattle about his fans. It was a voice to chill the bone marrow. A voice of breathtaking ice-cold venom. Come to me. Let me rip you. Let me tear you. Let me kill you.
That was quite the performance to watch.
Thank you. I did do drama at level. Just so you know.
I like your like hunched over snake face.
I mean, I had to.
You have to like do the snake.
The little head move. I wasn't even really conscious of it, but
no,
comes with the voice.
Yeah.
And then when Harry brings up the voice, Lockhart kind of avoids it.
Well, he just has no idea.
Yeah. I'll read the bit where Harry brings it up. That voice. Sorry? Said Lockhart, looking puzzled. What voice? That voice said, didn't you hear it? Lockhart was looking at Harry in high astonishment. What are you talking about, Harry? Perhaps you're getting a little drowsy. Great Scott, look at the time. We've been here nearly 4 hours. I'd never have believed it. The time's flown, hasn't it? Harry didn't answer. Yeah, and then spooky how the time flies. Spooky.
Yeah, that thing he does with his eyes is just hilarious. The spooky
little side to side. He kind of pauses and like listens out again.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure why he made that choice. But it was a brilliant choice. It was a brilliant choice.
He's
to do that weird eye thing. Spooky. I don't really know how to describe it on a podcast.
No. He just kind of looks at the ceiling, like hoping to hear the voice.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
But in a very funny way.
Spooky.
Harry's little spooky, like eyes narrowed. Yeah. And then in the film, Harry continues to hear the voice, and he goes on to find Mrs. Norris, which is so they can skip Nearly Headless Nick's Death Day party, which we'll talk about in the next episode. Very fun. So in the book, he just goes back to Gryffindor Tower.
Yep, we don't see Mrs. Norris in this bit, which is really weird. Especially with the first two, it all kind of merges in together. So I'm like, oh really? They don't do this now? When I'm reading the book.
And especially the second book. I've watched the second film so many times, and I've read the book like a few times, but the second one is probably one of my least read books, especially in in proportion to the film, I suppose. It's much less read than the film is watched, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
So then he, as we said, he goes back up to Gryffindor Tower, and he just waits for Ron to come back from his detention, and Ron tells him what went down with the trophies, which we don't hear about in the film at all. It says, Ron arrived, nursing his right arm and bringing a strong smell of polish into the darkened room. My muscles have all seized up, he groaned, sinking on his bed. 14 times he had me buff up that Quidditch cup before he was satisfied, and then I had another slug attack all over his special award for services to the school. Took ages to shift the slime. How was it with Lockhart?
Can you imagine
foreshadowing
shifting... Sorry, carry on.
The special award for services to the school. Probably a little bit of foreshadowing for later on. Yeah.
I was just going to say, can you imagine shifting slug slime without hot water?
Yeah, that would not have been very great.
Yeah. Oh, if you can hear Matilda, I can hear it through the baby phone. So if anyone listening thinks I have a bird, no, it's just my daughter not going to sleep. And then there's chinking coming from the kitchen. So yeah, I might have a lot of background noise. Apologies.
Just ambience.
Yeah. Household ambience.
Yeah. ASMR.
Yeah.
And then Harry gets Ron up to speed on what he heard. It says, keeping his voice low so as not to wake Neville, Dean, and See-muss. Whenever I read See-muss, my brain is always like, that's not how you pronounce the A. Harry told Ron exactly what he had heard. And Lockhart said he couldn't hear it, said Ron. Harry could see him frowning in the moonlight. Do you think he was lying? I don't get it. Even someone invisible would have had to open the door. I know, said Harry, lying back in his four-poster and staring at the canopy above him. I don't get it either.
Dun, dun, dun. You know, See-muss could be my answer to your random question. I read it as See-muss for the longest time, and it made no connection to me whatsoever that I had, watched all up until the third movie. So I'd heard See-muss. No idea. And I was reading it aloud to my mum when I was 17, 18, something like that. And I was like, oh, See-muss said this. And my mum was like, who now? I was like, See-muss. She's like, it's pronounced Seamus. And I was like, you're barking. No, it's not. It's written S-E-A. And she's like, no, it's Seamus. And she looked it up on Google and it did it. And yeah.
I mean,
very embarrassing.
I always read idiot whenever it was written down in a book. I knew the word idiot. For some reason, whenever I read idiot, I read it as idot.
Oh.
And I thought that idot was just another insult for calling someone like a bit stupid, a bit of an idiot. I thought it was its own insult. I never said it out loud.
Right.
But
it's one of those things that you just assumed was right.
Yeah. Oh, another Harry Potter themed one is Spellotape. I always read a Spellotape.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that's a lot of people though, because there's the whole thing of like you only really see the first letter and the last letter, and if the letters in the middle are all jumbled up, you can still read it, and so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Nice.
Then we get a bit more foreshadowing just at the beginning of the next chapter, chapter 8, which says, October arrived, spreading a damp chill over the grounds and into the castle. Madame Pomfrey, the matron, was kept busy by a sudden spate of colds among the staff and students. Wow. Her pepper-up potion worked instantly, though it left the drinker smoking at the ears for several hours afterwards. Ginny Weasley, who had been looking peaky, was bullied into taking some by Percy. The steam pouring from under her vivid hair. For some reason I read that as vivid green hair. I was like, hold on a second. Under her vivid hair gave the impression that her whole head was on fire, which is adorable.
Yeah.
So obviously we know why she was looking a bit peaky.
Yeah. Dun dun dun. Alrighty, so now it's my section. Yay! So nothing in my section is actually in the films at all. So we're in the next chapter now. It's now Quidditch season, which usually is like autumn, winter time, and then I think a bit of early spring as well, but I'm not sure. And it's really rainy. So Harry has a very muddy Quidditch practice. And Harry just conveniently forgets that there's a changing room off to the side of the Quidditch pitch and decides that it'll be much more fun to leave all his muddy things on when he goes traipsing back through the castle, which just really grinds my gears. And I'm like, yeah, Filch is completely justified in his anger. Harry comes across nearly headless Nick, that's a mouthful, who is reading a ghost letter. Now, this confuses me. Like, would a letter have to die in order for him to have it? Like, and how do ghosts write it? Would somebody else had to write it and then set it on fire?
The only thing I can think is that one of the Hogwarts ghosts conveniently died with a stack of parchment and a quill and ink on their person and distributed it amongst the ghosts.
And it's like, it's like crack. Secret parchment den of Hogwarts.
Yeah. It just, have you seen Ghosts on BBC with the Horrible Histories cast?
No.
Okay, it basically, the premise is that it's, it's a big old house and a bunch of ghosts are there.
Okay.
And, one of them's a caveman, one of them is a 90s politician, and then the other ones are kind of anywhere in between that.
Oh, that's fun.
And there's this one who's I guess, kind of romantic era poet, who's just really obsessed with any woman he sees.
Oh, okay.
And he has this letter on him that was given to him by, like, his lost love or something, like, that he never got to be with or whatever it is. And there's this whole episode about him kind of accepting that he needs to let go. And so he takes this letter that he died with on his person out and, like, lays it back down on the table and goes to walk away. but then because he died with it, it just vanishes and then reappears in his pocket again, and he keeps trying to put it down because it's this whole thing of like letting go from the past, but like it just So, well, no, I mean that wouldn't work with this anyway. That's what it reminds me of. Ghost letter.
I'm just thinking to spoilers ? When Harry dies. And he goes to like the afterlife, kind of like the pre-afterlife bit where you decide, well, I guess nobody really goes to this because he has the unique position where he can choose whether he wants to go on or come back. And I'm assuming that people have that choice, but instead of coming back physically, they can choose to come back as a ghost. Because that's like Harry Potter.
Although I do want to talk about this idea of like the ghosts choosing to come back.
Right.
The way I always interpreted the thing of like ghosts and like some people dying and some people staying as ghosts and all that kind of thing. When I hear people talking about it, they will say like, oh, the ghosts like chose to be ghosts, and the people who die and move on, or whatever it is within Harry Potter,
that's what
chose that.
That's what Nick says to Harry, doesn't he?
Right. But I mean, I probably like missed some passages in the book. I always interpreted it as just like people who are too scared to die or too like fond of this realm or whatever it is,
think that's exactly
become ghosts, but not by choice.
Oh, okay.
They don't go somewhere and it's like, do you want to be a ghost or do you want to move on? But I think it is more of a choice. But I always interpreted it as just one or the other happens based on your attitudes towards death.
Okay. Because, like, I think it's kind of like that, but it's more of a choice because when Sirius dies, Harry goes to Nick and he's like, I can surely speak to Sirius. He'll be a ghost somewhere. And Nick was like, no, a man like that wouldn't possibly be a ghost. And he was like, why not? He said, well, he would not choose to be a ghost. He would have moved on. And then he explains that he chose to be a ghost because he was way too scared of dying.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Whereas I thought that was just like because he was so scared he became a ghost, and because Sirius, wanted to see his friends again and wasn't afraid of death, he didn't become a ghost. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. We'll update next episode.
What I'm thinking is like with the letters is that like the bloody Baron has like chains, and it's like he chose the chains as act of penance for like his regrets.
So did someone choose
like parchment? Like how much parchment do you get? Like, is it like, can I have an infinite supply of parchment? It just that just really and like this got me on to thinking, how on earth does Professor Binns like read from the textbook? How does he turn the pages? Or how does he mark the homework?
Maybe he took a textbook with him. I don't know. Yeah, that's, I mean, just another of the many plot holes.
I mean, and that's another plot hole with like the choice theory, because Professor Binns just woke up as a ghost.
Right, which is what in my mind
realize
why I guess interpreted the thing with Nick as being like he obviously didn't want to die and wanted to just keep teaching at Hogwarts, and so he just became ghost.
Yeah, which is like why Professor Binns is the best teacher, because surely he's like so passionate about
dedicated.
His job.
Yeah.
But
even in death,
you would have thought that if you're that passionate, you'd at least put a bit of life, into your lessons.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's a strange choice to have him holding a ghost.
Well, it doesn't say a ghost letter, but I'm assuming it's a ghost letter. I don't know.
Oh, because he says he's holding a letter.
Yeah, I wrote ghost letter. Hold on. He pulled a letter back out of his pocket. Oh, hold on. Oh, yeah, it says, "You look troubled, young Potter," said Nick, folding a transparent letter as he spoke and tucking it inside his doublet.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling, you should have known that we would be asking this. Okay. Then Nearly Headless Nick like rants to Harry about the letter, so I'm just going to read like the rant extracts of just the rant, because I really like he gets so passionate, and you don't really get like a lot of Nearly Headless Nick content, so I really like this little snippet into his life. I'll just start from Harry to give a bit of context. So that quote that I just read, and then I'll just read from there. You look troubled, young Potter, said Nick, folding a transparent letter as he spoke and tucking it inside his doublet. So do you, said Harry. Ah, a matter of no importance. It's not as though I really wanted to join. Thought I'd apply, but apparently I don't fulfill the requirements. But you would think, wouldn't you, that getting hit 45 times in the neck with a blunt axe would qualify you to join the Headless Hunt? I mean, nobody wishes more than I do that it had all been quick and clean, and my head had come off properly. I mean, it would have saved me a great deal of pain and ridicule. However, and now this is Nearly Headless Nick reading from the letter, we can only accept huntsmen whose heads have parted company with their bodies. You will appreciate that it would be impossible otherwise for members to participate in hunt activities such as horseback head juggling and head polo. It is with the greatest regret, therefore, that I must inform you that you do not fulfil our requirements. With very best wishes, Sir Patrick Delaney Podmore. Half an inch of skin and sinew holding my neck on, Harry. Most people would think that's good and beheaded, but oh no, it's not enough for Sir Properly Decapitated Podmore. Oh, it's just so...
I forgot about that,
yeah.
about his name.
Yeah. I mean, like, I get that Sir Nick is like really sad about not being in this clique, but it's like, yeah, how are you gonna be involved in head polo? Like,
It's
you've
called the
got to use,
Headless
yeah,
Hunt, and he has a
not
head.
nearly headless.
The Nearly Headless Hunt. He should start his own.
Yeah. Just one, and then like hope that other people have as violent a death as he does.
Yeah.
It'd be like a really dark turn.
Yeah. He's just going around trying to almost decapitate people.
Yeah.
To join his club.
He's like chopping like loads of pumpkins with axes, trying to make them blunt. I'll get another one at some point. Oh dear. Anyway, Filch, who has been cleaning all morning, bursts in and starts yelling at Harry. So I'll just read his little thing. Filth! Mess and muck everywhere! I've had enough of it, I tell you! Follow me, Potter! And Filch then takes Harry into his office. Which, I just hate that all of this is cut from the book. I mean, from the film. I get it, because it's really not needed, but it's such a fun little bit.
Yeah.
So this is like the description of the office. The room was dingy and windowless, lit by a single oil lamp dangling from the low ceiling. A faint smell of fried fish lingered about the place. I mean, like, does he eat at the Great Hall, in the Great Hall?
I wouldn't if I was him, because everyone hates him.
Yeah, but maybe if he tried to make some friends, people wouldn't hate him as much.
Maybe.
Wooden filing.
I think it's a bit past that by this point.
Yeah, and then it's like, if he doesn't, why wouldn't he ask? I mean, maybe he does ask the house elves specifically for fried fish. Maybe he just really likes fried fish.
Maybe.
Fried fish is pretty good.
Yeah.
Just really likes fish and chips.
Yeah.
Wooden filing cabinets stood around the walls. From their labels, Harry could see that they contained details of every pupil Filch had ever punished. Fred and George Weasley had an entire drawer to themselves, a highly polished collection of chains and manacles hung on the wall behind Filch's desk. It was common knowledge that he was always begging Dumbledore to let him suspend students by their ankles from the ceiling. So as Filch is writing up a form for like a punishment for Harry, he hears a loud crash from upstairs and he thinks it's Peeves and he runs out to go and see what it is. And this is where Harry sees the quick spell envelope. We talked about this a couple of episodes back. I will link that episode in the description just in case people are joining us for this one. But basically, there is a deleted scene where Harry sees the quick spell envelope on the floor when he's getting told off by Snape for flying the car for flying the car to Hogwarts. So Filch is there, he sees the letter on the floor and gives it back to Filch, and that's a deleted scene. So this is where that actually happens, and this is what actually happens. It's in Filch's office. This is what the letter says inside, because we all know that Harry just can't resist a little nosy. Feel out of step in the world of modern magic? Find yourself making excuses not to perform simple spells? Ever been taunted for your woeful wand work? There is an answer! Quick Spell is an all-new, fail-safe, quick result, easy-learn course. Hundreds of witches and wizards have benefited from the Quick Spell method. Then there's like two quotes from people who have done the course. Madam Z. Nettles of Topsham, either of the two.
Whenever there is SH written in a place name, it really bothers me because I don't know if it's what is it in?
It's like Topsham or Topsham.
Yeah, Topsham or Topsham. Yeah. Anyway, my little
I'll just
my
guess
little rant
that it's
today.
Topsham.
Okay.
Right. I had no memory for incantations and my potions were a family joke. Now, after a quick spell course, I am the centre of attention at parties, and friends beg for the recipe for my scintillation solution. Warlock DJ Prod of Didsbury says, my wife used to sneer at my feeble charms, but 1 month into your fabulous quick spell course, I succeeded in turning her into a yak. Thank you, quick spell. So I always assumed that quick spell was meant for squibs because Filch is a squib, but I think that it's meant for wizards and witches who are just not as competent.
Yeah.
Because squibs cannot perform magic.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of really
that would be
sad.
Correct. Yeah.
And this is why Filch hates Hogwarts students so much, because he's like this. He's there because it's his one link to the magical world, but he also really hates being there at the same time because he's so jealous of everyone.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing this is also why he bans magic from the corridors, not because it's like hard to clean up or anything, although it probably is, but because he doesn't want to see it.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's just my little headcanon.
No, I think that makes sense.
Because he could probably easily ask one of the teachers, like, could you please just help me out on this one, and they would happily do it.
Yeah. It seems like mean that they have a non-magical caretaker.
Yeah.
In a magical school.
Yeah, I mean, I'm imagining a young Filch, like just come out of Muggle school, in the depths of depression, coming to Dumbledore and begging him for a job.
But surely he could be like, I don't know, like assistant to the caretaker, and like he can do the kind of more muggly
admin.
Yeah, and like mopping the floors and things that are a little bit more simple.
Yeah.
Then you can have someone. Yeah,
I don't know. I think Filch is just generally a very sad character.
Yeah, it bothers me that like,
do
it doesn't bother me
better with him.
but also, like, that's just so harsh that they have one. But I mean, even that they only have one caretaker.
Yeah, well, maybe it's like a kind of a matter of pride for Filch.
I suppose to be fair, you have the house elves that do most of the stuff.
That's true.
And he's just kind of like there as the
cover up.
Yeah, that's true actually. I suppose the house elves can sort out all the.
Yeah, you're not meant to know house elves are there.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of a house elf.
Right, and he's just kind of there to be like school caretaker, like.
Yeah.
His job isn't really necessary, and I suppose that's kind of the point, because Dumbledore just gave him a job because he wanted to still be in the world of.
Yeah.
The magical world.
But then I can see like him as a 20-something or like an 18-something-year-old, whatever, coming to Dumbledore begging for a job and then staying here and doing this job and like slowly starting to hate everything about it. But like it's like, no, I have this job, I have no qualifications, no future, and I don't want to leave the magic world even though I hate it. It's such a weird life. Anyway, so as Harry started reading Lesson 1, Holding Your Wand, Some Useful Tips, which I never thought about, that like there could be a wrong way of holding a wand. That's quite interesting. Harry hears Filch coming back and quickly stuffs the letter back into the envelope and like just chucks it onto the desk. And Filch obviously notices that it's not in the same place. So he says, did you read? He spluttered. No, Harry lied quickly. Filch's knobbly hands were twisting together. If I thought you'd read my private, not that it's mine, for a friend, be that as it may, however. Harry was staring at him, alarmed. Filch had never looked madder. His eyes were popping. A tick was going in one of his pouchy cheeks, and the tartan scarf didn't help. Oh, so he has a tartan scarf because he's got a cold. So on top of all of the cleaning that he's done, and on top of Harry like traipsing mud, he's got a really bad cold, and he's got a tartan scarf wrapped around his neck. Very well, go, and don't breathe a word. Not that, however, if you didn't read. Now go, I have to write up Peeves's report. Go. Poor thing. Although I kind of like that he seems to genuinely believe that Harry didn't read it. Like, that shows some kind of level of trust or stupidity.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's in a completely different place and half out of the envelope.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just going to assume that Filch is trying to be nice here, but it's probably not that. He's not a nice. He doesn't really do things like that. Harry runs into Nick again, and Nick reveals that it was actually him who persuaded Peeves to make the sound. And here we get a really famous bit of foreshadowing that, of course, is missed from the film, because all of this is missed from the film. To make the crashing noise, Peeves drops a, quote, large black and gold cabinet, close quote, which has been rumoured to be the Vanishing Cabinet. As in Book 5, we hear that the Vanishing Cabinet was broken.
Book 5?
Yes.
When's the Vanishing Cabinet in Book 5?
Because it's like Fred and George's friend was like pushed in there. They like mention it, and he's like, this guy, I can't remember how it comes up, but they're like, yeah, one of our friends was stuck in there for ages and they had to get Dumbledore to get him back out again because it's broken.
Okay.
So it's never like actually confirmed, but it's kind of an accepted one in the general fan base that this is the one that is the Vanishing Cabinet. Harry expresses his wish to help Nick with his problems with the Headless Hunt, and Nick does think of a way that he can. So I'll just read that. Well, this Halloween will be my 500th death day, said nearly headless Nick, drawing himself up and looking dignified. Oh, said Harry, not sure whether he should look sorry or happy about this. Right. I'm holding a party down in one of the roomier dungeons. Friends will be coming from all over the country. It would be such an honour if you would attend. Mr. Weasley and Miss Granger would be most welcome too, of course. But I dare say you'd rather go to the school feast? He watched Harry on tender hooks. No, said Harry quickly. I'll come. My dear boy! Harry Potter at my Death Day party. And he hesitated, looking excited. Do you think you could possibly mention to Sir Patrick how very frightening and impressive you find me? Of course, said Harry. Nearly Headless Nick beamed at him. I mean, I really think that I was like, oh, Harry's really nice here, but actually I think it was just like he just felt really awkwardly pushed into that.
Yeah.
He just couldn't say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially after he'd done, like, been
Such
nice
a
with
nice thing.
helping him out of the thing with Filch and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we have like a little, one of those stars of like a certain amount of time has passed. One of those little things. And we see here that Hermione is like really excited about this Death Day party. So it says, "A Death Day party," said Hermione keenly when Harry had changed at last and joined her and Ron in the common room. I bet there aren't many living people who can say they've been to one of those. It'll be fascinating. Why would anyone want to celebrate the day they died? Said Ron, who was halfway through his potions homework and grumpy. Sounds dead depressing to me. Which, yeah, I agree with Ron. Harry was just about to tell Hermione and Ron about Filch's quick spell letter when Fred and George feed a firework to a salamander. Sorry, I really hate that. And the sight of it wheezing across the common room drove the thought out of Harry's mind.
Oh God.
Maybe I'll just like, no salamanders were harmed in the making of this plan. Like, would that have hurt? Like, it survived, but anyway. I feel very sorry.
Yeah. Does it survive?
Well, it says it escaped into the fire.
Ah, okay.
So it does survive. Woo.
Yeah. I was gonna say, if it just explodes in the Gryffindor common room, that's quite
but
graphic.
I guess if you're fireproof, I think that it
was
like their
that's
test
true.
to see if the insides were as fireproof as the outsides. But it's like, why would you want to? That's just really mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like Fred and George do sometimes show that like really dark side of humor. Like, oh lol, like really unempathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, not thinking properly kind of humor.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we'll move on to Marauder's Map with Lucy.
Alrighty, thank you very much. So, I am just going to talk a little bit about the Defence Against the Dark Arts classroom, because I didn't really too much last episode when we had our first Defence Against the Dark Arts lesson, and the detention with Lockhart is in the Defence Against the Dark Arts room.
Okay.
In the film and in the book, I assume, or is it in his office?
Yes.
Anyway, in his office.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay. So, in the second film, the room changes. In Philosopher's Stone, the Defence Against the Dark Arts classroom is filmed on location at Laycock Abbey in the warming room, which was the only room in the Abbey that nuns were allowed to fire, which is why it's called the warming room. And it was just kind of a random room because it was that one shot into the room when McGonagall was looking for Oliver Wood.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So then for
that's
Chamber
really
of Secrets...
cool, the warming room.
Yeah.
I like that.
So then, obviously, this film, it's a completely different looking room, because the production team decided it would just be much easier to build it on a soundstage at Leavesden.
Right.
Because it's just quicker to get the actors there and get everyone there rather than going to a location.
Yeah, I guess they knew that DADA would be a reoccurring lesson more than the others.
Yeah. So the production designer, Stuart Craig, said that he took inspiration from the Gothic church pulpits for the staircase that leads up to the teacher's office.
I love that design.
And he said part of why he created this kind of staircase up to the top was so that Gilderoy Lockhart could have more of a theatrical entrance into the classroom, right. And also more dramatic exits when he kind of runs up the stairs and slams the door behind him. It's just a bit more, dramatic and theatrical than just going into a little door to the side. And I really like the design of the classroom, and obviously you have props and kind of set pieces that switch out throughout the series with the different teachers, and it's located in a tower, and it's supposed to be an attic room because you have all the rafters and also just long windows on one side of the classroom. Because it's obviously just on the edge. So that's all I have for today.
Cool.
About the classroom.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't have any comments other than that's really cool. Bit of knowledge, of edutainment. Alrighty, so that concludes this episode of Potterwatch from page to screen.
Keep twiddling those dials. Keep each other safe. Keep faith.
Good night. Imagine a woods with a cottage, and inside that cottage we find a dwarf called Zeke, a carnival freak who can fold paper hats with his mind. And he says, don't let them steal away your horses. No, don't let them throw them away. No, no!